Yet the memory is useless as a rod without a reel. I assure you it was not what I expected it to be. Good morning, guys. We're going to get started here soon, in about 2 minutes. 2-minute drill. Click the share, click the like, click the things, the notifications. I see that only like a few of you have notification bells on. They tell me. The YouTube's makes it clear. Are you guys ready to talk about Zilliqa today? Are you? Because we're going to talk about it today. We have a lot to talk about today. A lot. Just FOMO into that Zilliqa mining. Watch it happen. I bet it's going to be intense. Son. 1 minute. Oh, 1 minute. Good morning, Worm. Good morning, John. Good morning, Sebchamp. Good morning, Gandalf. Good morning, Impala. Good morning, It's All Good Mining. Good morning, Vince Russo. Good morning, 4EMH. Good morning, Welco. Good morning, Anonymous Miner. Good morning, Panzer. Good morning, Sed. Let's get into it. Hello and welcome everybody to the Crypto Mining Show, your one-stop shop for all cryptocurrency news from the perspective of a cryptocurrency miner, which is yours truly. On the internet, I go by Blind Run. It's been my gamer tag since way back in Counter-Strike, like version 1.6. And then in real life, I go by Matthew. I prefer the interwebs call me Blind Run because it is what it is. I'm used to it. If you call me by my IRL name, I get all confused. And I'm like, who are you talking to? Where's Matt? Where'd he go? Today, we're going to be talking about Gminer release version 2.91. We also have more information from the MTT S60 and S2000 launches. And then we have a breaking news alert from Ted Cruz. And we'll be talking about his perspective on CBDCs, short for central bank digital currencies, for those that are newer into crypto. We're also going to be talking about a crypto expert who was ambushed and shot 5 times at a New York City hotel, and why I don't think I want to go to any conferences. We're also going to be talking about the Helium Foundation and some upgrades, I guess, to essentially the Decentralized Wireless Alliance. And then some weekly regulatory and tax updates via crypto.com. And then, of course, Zilliqa's massive pump and why is it happening? Then we'll get into our normal topics of mining profitability for the day, which is looking so good. But first, a word from today's sponsor, who I'm quite fond of. Today's sponsor is myself. To support the channel, click the join button below the video and you will get access to our privately hosted Rocket Chat. Selecting the $1.99 option will get you access, and after that you need to head over to the membership tab, scroll down, and expand out your membership perks. Find the section for connecting on social media, and in that section there will be a secret registration URL to join Rocket Chat, where you can sign up to enjoy talking with other cryptocurrency enthusiasts and miners without spammers, scammers, or bots. Boom! What an awesome sponsor. Click that join button down below or purchase a t-shirt. For example, our fantastic looking straight out of power shirt here, or my favorite one that I wear everywhere, which is Keep Calm Mine On. I design all the t-shirts myself and I make them in Inkscape, and I do not have that sourced out at all. So it's all in-house, which does mean that outside of the massive amount of cash that Teespring and YouTube take from it, I do get around $6 to $9 a pop, depending on which one you pick. So there you go. Let's hop into the first topic for today, and that is Gminer release version 2.91, launched 2 hours ago on March 31st, 2022. It says it has improved light hash rate detection and they decreased the time of unlocking. That's it. That's all we got from Gminer today. Looking like a Team Black Miner thing. It is what it is. You can go check it out, see if the unlocks work any better. From my understanding, there are a lot of people having success with Gminer as far as reducing overall power consumption across all their rigs. Unverified by myself at this point, so I can't really speak to it. However, this is what I'm hearing the rumblings of within mining chats everywhere. So Gminer might be something you want to check out. And with the latest update, maybe it'll work better with light hash rate GPUs. China's More Threads MTT S60 GPU supports DirectX and can run League of Legends. I sure hope it can run League of Legends. Look, we got to cover the GPU news. Do I think these are going to go anywhere? I'm not really sure. I don't like the memory that's currently going to be available on it that we have confirmed. We'll talk about that. But Intel Arc DGPU launch was not the only important event today. In China, the first fully domestic graphics architecture has just been presented. More Threads has only been established 18 months ago. In 2021, the company announced it is developing a fully featured graphics processor. To say the least, it was hard to believe that such a young company would achieve what many companies were unable to do for years, to bring their own GPU to market in such a short time. Now, when we look at the performance of these GPUs, it is super important to point out how impressive it is to stand this up and have something ready to go, regardless of how weak it is in power comparison to NVIDIA or AMD or Intel. Because look, they have like almost no time here, and they're actually coming out with something that works. That alone is impressive. I will give them that, right? The company is led by Zhang Jinghong. Oh, Lordy, I bet you guys love listening to me try to pronounce names. Who is a former global vice president and general manager for NVIDIA. With this 15 years experience in the graphics market and a very good support from experienced team and partners, his company today presented its first graphics card for gaming and servers. More Threads today revealed its MTT S60 and MTS 2000 desktop GPUs. Those are made in 12 nanometer process technology and are designed using MUSA, which is short for MT Unified System Architecture, MUSA. According to the company, the S60 offers 6 teraflops of power, while S2000 is 12 teraflops of power. The former is equipped with 8 gigabytes of LPG DDR4X memory, which is where I'm a little disappointed in, at least from the mining perspective. It's not that good. But we don't know yet what the latter is, the MTS 2000, other than the quantity, which is 32 gigabytes. If we can at least get GDDR6, then we're talking. Then we're really interested in this as miners, right? So right now, though, it's looking like obviously the budget for the gamers is going to be super interesting, especially since really like in smaller markets, they're not even smaller markets, let's just say Eastern markets, where basically esports is a big thing, a very cheap solution for these esports makes a lot of sense, right? Especially along the lines of League of Legends. So you know where their targeting is going to be. It's not going to be AAA gaming in Cyberpunk 2077. It's going to be League of Legends, it's going to be Valorant, it's going to be CSGO. That's what they're aiming this at, from the best I can tell. The most important news from the conference is that MUSA architecture supports DirectX runtime, a feature that was missing from all previously announced and demoed Chinese GPUs. Furthermore, MUSA supports OpenCL, OpenGL, Vulkan, and even NVIDIA CUDA. What is also interesting that today Intel has launched its Arc DG2 GPUs as the first consumer GPUs with AV1 encoding capability. As it turns out, Musa GPUs also have support for encoding and decoding in this format. The graphics card was demoed in a League of Legends game at 1080p resolutions. Unfortunately, no further details were discussed. It should be commented upon that the game is not very demanding. It can be run even with a DirectX 10 capable GPU. The game's official recommended specs list is the GTX 560 or the Radeon HD 6950. Pretty old cards there. And then we have specifications here. FP32 cores on the MT-S60 is 2048. You basically double that on the S2000. The performance is 6 teraflops on the S60 and 12 teraflops. We already talked about that. The memory is where we're really trying to figure out what's going on. Is it going to be 32 gigabytes of GDDR6? I kind of am doubting it. Why would you have only double the size of the GPU core on the bigger model, but then have GDDR6 and a massive 32 gigabytes of it? I wouldn't know. So I'm leaning towards something else that's going to be slower, but then just more of it. We'll have to wait and see. And then the OS support and DisplayPort and blah, blah, blah. Now, the fan technology here is going to be interesting because you have a single slot blower on the MTS60 while you have a passive single slot on the MTT S2000. You would think that you would stick with the blower if it's a single slot, but we'll just have to see what the design looks like at the end of the day. I mean, up here is what you can see. This one definitely doesn't make I guess it's fully passive, no fan or anything. So to me, it sounds like this is a data center GPU, and I'm wondering what their applications are going to be for. While this one may be like low-level LAN center in South Korea to play League of Legends, right? That's kind of what I'm getting from this as far as target markets. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, as well as the chat. Now, in breaking news, Ted Cruz has introduced legislation to prohibit the Federal Reserve from issuing a central bank digital currency directly to individuals. Now, in the past, everything else aside, personal opinions on the rest of his policies and so on, specifically on cryptocurrency, Ted Cruz has kind of been killing it. It's interesting. But U.S. Senator Ted Cruz, Republican out of Texas, member of Senate Commerce Committee today, introduced legislation to prohibit the Federal Reserve from issuing a central bank digital currency directly to individuals. Senator Cruz's bill was co-sponsored by Senator Braun, Republican of Indiana, and Grassley, Republican of, I'm sorry, IA. I should get better at this. Is that Iowa or something? Anyways. Well, I gotta study up, boys. That's what I gotta do. I've been too busy studying other things. Specifically, the legislation prohibits the Federal Reserve from developing a direct-to-consumer CBDC, which could be used as a financial surveillance tool by the federal government. He's calling it, right? Similar to what is currently happening in China. Exactly. The bill aims to maintain the dollar's dominance without competing with the private sector. What's the private sector? Well, we know Senator Ted Cruz is hot on Bitcoin. He understands exactly what's happening with Bitcoin, how it empowers the people, how it basically is there to rebalance those scales. We've talked about this before. Sticking to the fundamentals, it seems like Mr. Cruz does understand the fundamentals of Bitcoin. I'm glad to see that we do have options and talks within the federal government of the U.S. to block central bank digital currencies, because I think they do pose pretty significant risk for centralization, even further than we already have within the monetary system of the United States. Let me know your opinions down in the comment section below, and of course in the live chat, and we'll get to them at the end. Now, if you guys are running around making YouTube videos about cryptocurrency, TikToks, making Instagram posts talking about your bags, saying, whoa, I made 212% on Zilliqa today. Woo, I'm feeling good. Well, be careful. because that means the rest of the world knows. And you don't want to end up like this guy. Crypto expert ambushed, shot 5 times at New York City hotel in attempted robbery of his $450,000 Richard Mille watch. Also, just a little note here, by the way. Come on. Sorry. If you guys catch me walking around with a $500,000 wristwatch, don't shoot me, but give me a little slap. Be like, what the heck, dude? Come on, there's much better ways to spend $450,000. Look, especially like wearing it around New York City, terrible idea, okay? Maybe if it's like a grandfather's watch or something, maybe you've got it passed down, maybe I get it, but come on. A robber who was after a $450,000 Richard Mille watch shot a 33-year-old French cryptocurrency expert at point blank range in Manhattan this month. The victim told the Daily Mail that he believed he was followed for hours or days prior to the attack. The victim, Pierre Jamal, sorry, I can't do French either, was ambushed outside of his Manhattan hotel. He said that he was shocked by how dangerous New York City had become and said he would never have visited if he knew how much it had changed in the last 10 years since he lived there. I mean, it has changed a lot. There's a lot going on with policies and so on, as well as just, look, inflation's happening. People are not making, $450,000 a year, which is on your wrist either. Like, observe the room, bro. He was visiting from Hong Kong and was getting out of an Uber at the 50 Hotel and Suites in Midtown when the incident took place. Quote, given the fact he was waiting there when we arrived and also the violence of the crime, I believe he followed me, he said. I believe they found me somewhere, then they tracked me for a few hours or days to figure out what I do, where I go. I think it was organized. He continued telling the Daily Mail, it cannot be a coincidence because it happened between the Uber and the door of the hotel. There's 2 meters of distance. The guy was waiting for me. There is no doubt about it. He started shooting me even before I understood he wanted my watch. And from then I was just pushing the gun down and he kept shooting my legs. It was crazy, he said. I know he shot 5 times, but I think some of them went through both legs. 3 of them are point blank shootings. I have a lot of bullet holes. He was helped when a female friend of him and his wife jumped on the robber's back and began to choke him. She is one of my really good friends. She is fiery. She jumped on his back and she did like a triangle choke like in MMA. Bro, I'm just going to tell you guys, get out there, get into some jiu-jitsu, start learning how to protect yourselves in multiple ways. Let's do it. He quickly passed out after being shot and started to bleed out on the street, the report said. Meanwhile, the robber was unable to get his watch off because of the bracelet security mechanism it had. The robber escaped in a black 4-door BMW. He has had 6 surgeries so far. They hit my femoral artery. It's something where you usually die in 5 minutes. It was a major surgery to save my life. I was surprised when I talked to one of the doctors here. I said, does it happen often? And he was like, yes, without hesitation. If I knew New York had changed like that, I would have never come here. I would have diverted my business trip and stayed in Europe. You don't need to be a genius to realize New York is very, very dangerous right now. I don't think it's safe for anyone. There are too many people who have nothing to lose. And that's the thing, nothing to lose. You don't want to be walking around with even $450 worth of bling, to be honest. But you don't want to be walking around with $450,000 worth of bling in a place that has been destroyed economically. And people literally do have nothing to lose. It's not safe. Now, I feel for the guy. Obviously, I don't want anybody getting shot, period, end of story, end of the day. But there are some things within the cryptocurrency industry when you see people showing off all this bling and talking about how much money they make and blah, 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 and buying their Bored Apes and doing all this, where you're like, all right, let's slow down. Because also from my perspective, I'm really looking at cryptocurrency, not just from the perspective of like building a business through cryptocurrency mining, but also from the perspective of how can it change and help everybody? Also, how can it help these desperate people within New York? This is how I look at it. And it's the same reason why I don't like a lot of the conferences that charge exuberant fees for their conferences. In fact, like, it's super kind of gross to me in general. And I wish that there was a way where we would have practical conferences with practical workshops, like how to protect your seed phrases and set up your wallets and all of that sort of thing, that was accessible by the general public and not blocked off by some huge paywall with a dude wearing a $450,000 watch. That's how I feel about it. So it doesn't mean that it's justified at all. I just also want to make sure that you guys understand that that whole movement in cryptocurrency is a little gross to me. I hope that he recovers and that everything is good. And of course, the robber gets prosecuted and then also gets the help that he needs, because obviously, if you're desperate enough to be going out there and shooting people over money, like, you're desperate for a reason, right? And it feels bad, man. It feels bad that these things happen, for sure. Let's go ahead and talk about the Helium Foundation and the Decentralized Wireless Alliance, DEWI. I'm going to say DEWI, is expanding and uniting the community under a shared brand as the Helium Foundation. The Helium Network launched in 2019 with the purpose of building a decentralized wireless network owned and operated by a community of users. In just over 2 years since the network's launch, this community has built a global, people-powered, decentralized network with more than 680K hotspots across 163 countries. The time has come for us to unite the community under a shared brand, and that is why we are proud to announce that the Decentralized Wireless Alliance will operate under a new name, the Helium Foundation. The Helium Foundation, a 501c nonprofit. Oh, man. These foundations are so sneaky, and like, this is the same kind of thing Ethereum does. And I don't know that I really support this kind of structure within cryptocurrency and the way they do this, but they're saying it will significantly expand its existing stewardship role, while Helium Incorporated announced their new name, Nova Labs. So what you have is the Helium Foundation being spun up as a nonprofit, the incorporation of Helium, that is essentially going to be the profitable portion, is now changing their name to Nova Labs. And that's obviously, it says, to distinguish itself as a contributor to the Helium network. This new chapter brings with it several exciting changes geared towards putting the Helium community front and center. First, Helium Incorporated, hereafter Nova Labs, has transferred its brand assets and intellectual property to the Helium Foundation. So it's transferring from a profit-driven company to a nonprofit. These assets will be held under the foundation's stewardship for the benefit of the global community. This is a tremendous win for the community and all projects building in and around the Helium ecosystem. This allows the Helium name and brand to be used more openly under the umbrella of a nonprofit association benefiting the wireless industry, thus our new name. The Nova Labs team will continue as highly devoted and aligned community members. As founders of the network, they remain focused on critical network infrastructure and blockchain development work. They will still be responsible for ongoing work with proof of coverage, light hotspots, and developments related to the most recent HIPs that have been published in the community. In the near term, Nova Labs will collaborate with the foundation to share Helium news, partner announcements, and other educational content through social and community channels. Really, in my humble opinion, everything that's been going on with the HIPs in Helium has been sketch. I think that is one of the largest dangers of, and this is a little different because it's proof of coverage, but replace proof of coverage with proof of work, and then add the proof of stake portion. And if you're kind of like a competing governance model where you essentially have proof of work and proof of stake, or in this case, proof of coverage and proof of stake, when it comes down to governance and the shifting of the monetary policies like we've seen in Helium, unfortunately, what ends up happening is it does seem to lean in favor of the proof of or the stakers. I do have these worries as well, similar worries when we talk about projects like Flux, for example, because what you end up having, especially as people are staking, is that they're kind of just continue to accumulate. And because they continue to accumulate and usually lock that up, in those kind of governance models, it leans towards the stakers. And then the hardware providers that have to cover costs and so on, well, they're at least going to be selling to cover, obviously their proof of coverage operation, their infrastructure. And it feels like a battle between two classes. And as I always see it, especially when we're talking about proof of work versus proof of stake, I always see it like the working class versus the managerial class, right? And that's because just by nature, providing infrastructure requires skill, right? And it seems like in society lately, everything that requires skill is kind of like tossed to the side. It's not respected anymore. And that goes across pretty much all industry and all of society internationally. And I wish that wasn't the case, right? And it's something that I've been noticing more and more. And obviously this is written in favor of it, but I'm reading a lot of things that I don't agree with necessarily, especially when we start talking about forming the nonprofits and so on and kind of playing these games. Second, the core technology and its repositories, including the Helium blockchain miner and hotspot app source code, will shift to be maintained by the foundation. The core contributors at Nova Labs will continue to ensure progress marches on through this transition and will still be responsible for technical continuity and working to implement any code or chain variable changes that result from approved HIPs. HIPs are Helium improvement proposals, basically, just so you guys know. I didn't clarify that earlier. Think of it as EIPs for Ethereum improvement proposals. It's the same thing. Or BIPs, Bitcoin improvement proposals. To date, the issuance of chain variables and rescue blocks has been a collaborative effort between the foundation and the core contributors, with the latter as the sole signer. This process will shift to include dual signing with representation from both Helium Foundation and Nova Labs. In time, additional organizations and individuals will become eligible signers with the demonstration of long-term network alignment and sufficient contributions to the Helium blockchain core code base. In preparation for this transition, the foundation team has been growing over the last few months and will continue to expand its technical and community leadership. Joey Hiller, a 2021 grant recipient and familiar face in the community, came on board in Q4 and is being elevated to technical director. Clarissa Redwine brings a background in connected hardware and joined us to grow our grant program. Evan Dywald, who has himself a grant recipient, shifted to full-time as the foundation's first data engineer and is focusing on proof of coverage, POC security, network analytics, and improving our public analytics tool. We're also thrilled to have recently welcomed Ada Akturk, who is splitting her time between community and developer relations. With the expanding team and increasing responsibility, the foundation's board of directors has asked me to step into Chief Operating Officer's role as we continue to grow the team. The Helium Foundation is taking on more responsibilities to scale, improve, and secure the Helium network. We are adding resources to improve public tools such as the ETL, and will run an instance of the LoRaWAN, there we go, console service targeted at non-commercial and trial use. Network governance will also see changes. Oh, all right, what are the changes? In the upcoming months. I guess they aren't going to talk about what those are going to be. In addition to the foundation's role overseeing the HIP process and hosting monthly community calls, we'll establish new independent committees, similar to the existing Manufacturing Oversight Committee, MOC, to promote specialization and ensure stakeholder alignment. Of course, that's what they really care about. Clearly, also with the HIPs that have been proposed, by the way, too. Look out for another blog post in the near future detailing those initiatives. We're also continuing to push towards a more formalized governance model and have plans to open up foundation board seats for general elections later this year. Each of these are important milestones to ensure Helium Network remains incredibly neutral. This is a very exciting time for the Helium Network. The grant program continues to attract new teams and exciting projects, including an additional Explorer, wrapped Helium as an ERC20, and enabling multi-sig and further network analysis and more. The Helium Foundation funded $500,000 worth of grants in 2021, and we've already matched that amount in just the first few months of this year. We're building relationships with influential groups in Washington to showcase the utility of the Helium network and drive public sector interest. There's even more reason to be excited about the network's future, given the growing demand side. Leading the LoRaWAN network, providers have publicly announced roaming agreements. A major U.S. city is employing Helium for civic benefits, with hints of more to come. And 2 large cellular networks have announced their intention to roam onto Helium as 5G. A lot has transpired in the last year, but we're just getting warmed up, and there's a lot more excitement to come. There you go. There is some FAQ here, like what's the purpose of a separate foundation? And they say that Helium is a public blockchain, meaning it's permissionless and decentralized in nature. All nodes have equal rights to access, create, and validate data. The Helium Foundation exists to manage the blockchain as an open public utility, which means that the nonprofit elements of the network. So, I mean, that makes sense, and I understand. It's just whenever you start seeing these shifts between like a for-profit into a non-profit, you start asking questions about, what are the tax ramifications of that? How's the board going to handle this? Obviously, because now they have a board. What is it all about? I always have questions surrounding a lot of nonprofits when it comes to that, and it makes me a little nervous, but I understand, I guess, the concept behind it, and I understand the selling point, right? It does talk about its roles. The big points is that the role of the Helium Foundation is network governance, oversight, ecosystem development, education, and advocacy. So what we are going to want to pay attention to is the evolving governance, and changes are coming in the HIP process that will create more efficiency and clarity. Pay attention to what they're going to be changing here for that process, because that's going to be important. And I think the rest of it is going to be, not as much worrisome, at least in my opinion. So there you go. There's all the changes going on with the Helium network. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below or the live chat. We have some regulatory and tax updates coming from crypto.com. Let's cover them. Bank of England drafts a crypto regulatory framework. EU committee to vote on rules against anonymous crypto transactions. And India passes a bill setting a CGT of 30% on crypto transactions. We knew that was coming. I guess it's official now. Here's the key takeaways. On Thursday, the Bank of England began sketching the country's first regulatory framework for cryptocurrency and digital assets, citing that the rapid growth of space may lead to instability of the UK financial system without appropriate regulation. The EU's Econ Committee will soon vote on a new proposed regulation that could ban anonymous crypto transactions. The proposal targets unhosted wallets such as MetaMask, Ledger, and Trezor. If you're in the UK right now, you need to be writing all of your representatives. I really don't know how the government functions. I'm not going to pretend that I do. But if you have a way to contact any officials within the government, you should be contacting them and advocating for at least these wallets. It looks like you're going to lose a lot of financial autonomy here, potentially. So I'd be very, very, very adamant about making sure that you communicate that you don't support that. A new proposal published by the U.S. Treasury suggests that cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin and Ethereum should be added to the IRS's rules for reporting taxpayers' offshore accounts. It's not enough that they're going to go ahead and take everything that you have currently within the borders, but they're going to want to go ahead and grab your offshore accounts too in the U.S. The U.S.'s approach has been interesting because they're basically trying to make sure that they can track and basically tax everything possible surrounding cryptocurrency. At least at this point, for the most part in the US, you're not seeing huge blocks like you're seeing in the EU being proposed. It's just a different approach. You can have your opinion on tax rates and all of that. And obviously, I think that there are some that become exorbitant, like in the case of India here, which on Friday, the Indian Parliament passed a controversial tax proposal under which the citizens shall pay a 30% capital gains tax on crypto transactions starting on April Fool's Day. What a good time to have that policy go through, right on April Fool's Day, you fools. So there you go. That's insane, though. You do have a map here that they track. It's super nice. You can check out down below. That kind of covers on an international stage the regulatory stance on crypto. So you can kind of go through here and see essentially what countries support what. And if it's like the dark blue, it's regulated, launched, and approved. If it's the light blue, it's under development or consideration or planned. And then, of course, you have the gray, which is the initial. What's interesting is if you look at the United States, I believe you have under development, consideration, and planned for the CBDC. And what you'll notice across the board is that even the countries that don't have a lot of research in the rest of this regulatory, like outside of cryptocurrency, they're still focused, like for example in China, on CBDCs. Every single country at this point is either in the phase of under development or consideration for a CBDC or regulated and launched already. This is definitely worrisome, and you should be paying attention and share these regulatory kind of pages and information with everybody that you know, and explain the differences between CBDCs, because people are going to get the fact of the matter is a lot of people don't have time to research this or even watch channels like mine when in regards to this. So they may not understand that a central bank digital currency goes in the complete opposite direction of what cryptocurrency was developed for fundamentally, especially if we're talking about the Bitcoin specifically. They won't understand that it further centralizes your financial systems within any given country, and basically has the threat of, like we saw from Senator Ted Cruz, which not to harp on it too much, but he is correct when he says that essentially that it can be used as a financial surveillance tool by the federal government. That is an invasion of your privacy, and definitely is against financial autonomy. So I don't support it. You should be basically making sure you explain the differences to people if it's brought up too. Because a lot of people are just going to see it as the adoption of cryptocurrency by governments, but that's really not exactly, it's more nuanced than that, right? Let's talk about Zilliqa, there we go. Everybody's favorite dual mineable coin. Not really, but Zilliqa, if you guys aren't familiar, is a coin that you can mine. You can dual mine it with Ethereum. It has a unique dual mining setup because what you end up doing is basically switching off of Ethereum, because blocks are only produced every so often for a short amount of time. So you can mine it for that short amount of time. Then your rigs jump back to Ethereum. The hash rate and all that sort of stuff carries right over to Zil and then comes back. It's something that a lot of people have been dual mining. And to be honest, is obviously probably has been beneficial now at this point. Zilliqa quadruples on optimism around the start of the metaverse service Metopolis. So this is why it's pumping. Metopolis is a metaverse as a service offering powered by Zilliqa's blockchain and is scheduled to launch on April 2nd. As you can see here, we have a massive price pump. Smart contract platform Zilliqa's Zil token has charted a threefold rally in 6 days to become one of the best performing cryptocurrencies of the month. The token has increased 300% to 18 cents from, of course, 4 cents on March 26, with prices jumping nearly 20% in the past 24 hours, according to data source Masari. At press time, the cryptocurrency boasted 321% gain for the month, the highest among digital assets with market values of at least $1 billion. Social media chatter reveals optimism about Zilliqa's Metopolis, a metaverse as a service platform scheduled to launch with a VIP event on April 2nd of 2022 in Miami, Florida. Quote, "We are just getting started," end quote, Redditor Blockchain said in a Reddit post earlier this week after taking stock of Zilliqa's progress in 2021. Quote, "Leading the charge is the groundbreaking, game-changing Metopolis, which will allow Zilliqa to spread its meta wings across a range of verticals and blockchains. Metaverse is a superset of virtual reality, augmented reality, and the internet. It essentially tries to recreate the democratic real world in a digital space. Per markets and market reports, the augmented reality market is supposed to grow from $15.3 billion to $77 billion by 2025 at a 38.1% compound annual growth. The virtual reality market is projected to grow from $6.1 billion US dollars to $20.9 billion US dollars in 2025. Metopolis, referred to as Metaverse for All, is a service setup offering a blank canvas for clients to build their own virtual universes as they desire. While observers foresee metaverse industry booming over the coming years, accessing the same is challenging for the general population, as building virtual infrastructure requires significant investment in technological expertise. Last year, Meta, formerly Facebook, lost $10 billion on its augmented and virtual reality operations. The loss was reportedly 5 times bigger than the amount Facebook paid while purchasing Oculus VR in 2014 and 10 times bigger than Instagram's cost of acquisition. Metaverse as a service providers like Metopolis provide required technology and infrastructure to enable users to create and maintain their own metaverses. I mean, this is huge, by the way. I mean, it's huge. It really is. Like, what we're talking about is also right along the lines of everything you would want crypto and blockchain to be, which is enabling the end user to participate without the interference of some overseeing company like Meta, right? Go build your own. This is awesome. This is why I like things like Rocket Chat. This is why I like things like TeamSpeak. This is why I stay away from those like clients like Discord if I can. Right? This is just shifting into this is the metaverse competition of it, right? That's what it is. Version of open source availability to the public. The service providers essentially remove the high cost entry barrier, opening doors for smaller players. Quote, Metopolis, whose suffix means city in Greek, is designed as a cutting edge extended reality, which is XR metaverse, an amalgamation of AR and VR, and is powered by Zilliqa's scalable and secure blockchain platform, end quote. Oh God, no, I can't do that one, guys. Head of communications at Zilliqa said in a blog post published in December. Quote, Metopolis will allow conceptually rich and custom designed domes as a part of cities that can house brands, artists, concepts, games, e-stores, real estate, or other digital experiences, offering a new layer of engagement for both the physical and digital worlds. Metopolis looks to be self-sustaining and includes engagement layers such as NFTs, e-commerce, play to earn, digital mannequins, advertising billboards, and more, he said. According to the press release dated March 25th, Metopolis is built on Unreal Engine, an advanced real-time 3D creation tool for photoreal visuals and immersive experiences, which means the user experience is likely to rival those of top games. Metopolis secured $2 million in pre-launch revenue from its client pipeline and recently announced a partnership with Agora, the global talent awards app. Quote, we're excited for this partnership as we are able to bring not only creativity to life within the metaverse, but also open borderless access for creatives worldwide to connect in the digital world. The partnership between Agora, Zilliqa, and Metopolis means we are at the forefront of Web3 innovation, Sandra Hello, head of metaverse and non-fungible tokens at Zilliqa, said in the presser. Awesome, awesome news. I'm definitely going to be trying to dive into Metopolis and all that sort of stuff on the channel. So if you're interested in that, hit the like, comment, subscribe, and notification bell so the algorithm knows you're interested in it. And we'll move on today to mining profitability for the day. It's looking so fine, so fine. We're just over here like, I'm not going to be able to eat today. I'm going to go get me a Blizzard from Dairy Queen. We're at $308 US, 0.09 ETH. huge blocks, I think, possibly happening here. Let's check it out and see what's going on. See if it's a block thing or if we're just having a good day. It is a block thing. You can see here that we have 2 miners finding a 51 ETH block, and that is part of what's going on today. Our last 24 hours is $286 US, and that is with me being down quite a bit yesterday, resolving power. As you can see, we're back up pretty close to that 6 gigahash mark. I have stopped mining Flux right now, primarily due to the fact that I'm still playing with the new LOL miner, and hopefully we'll get you guys information. If you guys are playing with the new LOL miner in HiveOS, let me know. I'm not seeing significant improvements in hash rates necessarily across the board. So let me know. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. I'm going to try to play with it some more. I'm not seeing those huge improvements that were initially kind of like announced from them at this time, but that is what we are mining right now because, like I said, I wanted to test it out and see how it is. The only other thing that we're mining at this point is, of course, Varus still at this point, and we have 1 rig offline. We're still doing like 1.2 a day. I do need to go out there and paste my 3600 XT, which has been offline. We're actually up to 1.5 for the past 24 hours. I need to get that 3600 XT back online. I believe it's just the thermal paste is pretty much dried all the way up. It happens. It is what it is. Let's look at mining profitability for the 3090 and calculate that baby out. Let's go ahead and update the Zell hash to what MiniZ would provide us, because if you're mining with NVIDIA, you should be on MiniZ for Flux. Ethereum at $4.80 a day after power, so not much up from yesterday. We're not back over that $5 a day after power. This is at 6 cents a kilowatt hour too. Ethereum Classic at $3.58 a day after power, still holding strong above $3. Pretty impressive. Interestingly, once again, we have Flux getting hit up on NiceHash and bringing you in $3.55 a day after power, as opposed to if you mined it directly, it would be at $3.11 a day after power. What does this mean? Most likely when we go look at the mining pool stats, we'll see little spikes within solo mining for people that are maybe trying to hit the network and get themselves a node. That is more than likely what's happening. The node explosion on Flux has been absolutely insane lately. A lot of people are trying to get into it. On this channel, you know, I don't want to invest the $3,000 at this point. I think it's a little cheaper now. We had it go up to $3 with the listing on Binance, I believe. Then it came back down to like $1.50. So maybe it's a little bit easier. And we'll definitely have to take a look at it at some point. It's not something I'm willing to ape into when I start seeing 1660 supers right now, for example, selling for $300 to $320 US. For me, I'm upgrading my farm. That's what I do. I'm a miner. I'm not a noder, I'm a miner. That's my job in the crypto ecosystem. And you know, you got to stay focused on what you do. And it's fine if you want to move outside of that here and there or whatever. And I get it. It's just, I focus on what I do, which is providing infrastructure to the network for mining specifically. But it is looking good. We also have Conflux at $3.42 a day after power and Cero at $3.12 a day after power. You have to scroll down pretty far and drop below $3 a day on Ravencoin at $2.79 a day after power. And then the other one we like to look at, which did have a pump and did not really maintain, is Ergo at $2.60 a day after power, primarily due to from what I mean, look, the thing is like, Ergo had some offline issues and stuff like that going on. What you should be paying attention to, though, as far as Ergo goes right now, is Ergo Dex is about to integrate Cardano on the decentralized finance platform, and that will be directly tied into Ergo, and that is going to basically, in my opinion, definitely not financial advice. So I'm not going to say definitely, but more than likely that is going to increase the price of Ergo, in my humble opinion, just that deployment. Now, I don't know how far along it is at this point. My understanding is that they're taking it slow, but we should see it coming here soon. Let's look at mining hash rate and all that. 216 exahash a second on Bitcoin. That's down 3 exahash a second from yesterday. Let's take a look at Ethereum. Ethereum still maintaining right around 1 petahash a second, so no big changes there. Let's look at Ethereum Classic. Ethereum Classic looks to be settling in around the 28 terahash mark, and it has the corresponding difficulty level, and then it has come down in price from that $50 to about $47. Everything is a little down today though, so it's not necessarily unexpected. Let's take a look at Flux. What we're expecting to see here is little spikes on the solo pools. So let's go ahead and see here. 2 miners solo, you got 1, 2 spikes here. You have one on the 30th, one on the 31st. Miner pool spike, you have one on the 30th. So more than likely, fluxpools.net, 1 spike here on the 29th. And then on the solopool.org, you had another spike on the 30th. So that is most likely what is causing the, essentially the spike in nice hash rental of that algorithm. You're at 2 mega solutions a second as well. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at a few of the others that we expect really no changes from. We got Ravencoin kind of bouncing all over the place, sitting at 3.7 terahash a second. Declining difficulty, kind of waiting for that to get settled in after the halving. And of course, wait to see what happens as far as that goes in the future too. Let's look at Ergo, which we're expecting to be going down in hash rate. Yeah, continue to go down. It really, someone tested it. They tried to make it work. It didn't work. You can see a big drop off of hash rate from the 20 terahash a second to 15 terahash a second after its testing. And the difficulty hasn't come back down, making it probably even more difficult right now to go ahead and mine it. We'll have to see how everybody responds that's on the network once we see this DeFi implementation start to integrate, of course, Cardano. Now, we'd be amiss if we didn't start adding Zilliqa here, right? So let's go ahead and pop on over here. And this is wild. So this is just silly. It's at 23 terahash a second, but it looks like you can't really track it. The APIs aren't really pulling it. So give me a hint, guys, on how we can actually track Zilliqa at some point, and I'll look into it later today. Maybe as well, because that's not working. Mining pool profitability for the past 90 days, Flex pool in first, mining pool hub in second, ZET in third. Last 60 days, ZET in first, Flex pool in second, mining pool hub in third. Last 30 days, ZET in first, Flex pool in second, 2 miners in third. Last 21 days, 2 miners in first, Flex pool in second, nano pool in third. Last 14 days, ZET in first, nano pool in second, Flex pool in third. Last 7 days, ZET in first, Flex pool in second, nano pool in third. Last 3 days, nano pool in first, Flex pool in second, ZET in third. And for the last day, of course, 2 miners with that big 51 ETH block in first place, nano pool in second, and Ethermine in third. So, you know, if you were on 2 miners today, congratulations, good sir, and welcome to the party. We're having a good day. Let's look at the ASIC miner profitability. We have huge drops in profitability on the Gold Shell KD6 I read that wrong. Excuse me. It's sitting right around where it should be, $130 a day. I read over here at first and I was like, damn, that's like a 20% drop over what it was. KD5 at $87.63 a day, still getting beat out this week by the Silicon A11. Ethereum ASIC, you have the Antminer L7 at $47.70 a day on nice hash for the script mining. You have the D7 at $45.54 on Poolin. And the Antminer Z15 at $25.95 on Pirate Chain. And then scrolling down to the S19 Pro. Dun, dun, dun. It's still sitting right at $19 a day on Digibyte or on Mining Rig Rentals. There are some new sales over on btminers.com. Be sure to use the affiliate link so we get credit for that over on the channel, and we maintain a partnership with BT Miners. They have basically added the Gold Shell KD box, or cut the price down to $6,000 US. You have the S19 Pro down $100 to $9,800 US from $9,900 US. And those are the big changes that are going on right now. Everything else, I think, stays the same. You can get a little bit more of a discount if you decide to do the new combo deal that they launched, which is the Gold Shell KD box plus the Handshake box at $7,000 US. So for $1,000 more, essentially, you're getting an HS box or a Handshake box which for them, let's see if we can find it down here. Doesn't look like you can even, is the handshake box even listed outside of that? Doesn't look like it. So that's the only way to get the handshake box, I think, right now. So there you go. Let's get into questions and answers. So as always, super chats never required, always appreciated, the easiest to read, so I'll read them. All right. Other than that, tag at son of a tech so I can read the message easier, and we'll go from there. We started out strong this week as well with 500, almost 500 concurrent viewers, which has been awesome. So thanks everybody for the support. Kind of teetered off. It's kind of expected. It is what it is. Let's get into some questions and answers. All right. So Detroit Irish doesn't have a question, but states, at son of a tech, Biden is again proposing unrealized gains tax. You covered previously. Those who say it is only for the rich, remember, so is income tax until Taft came along. Fair point. Panzer says, at son of a tech, did you use the right driver for the new LOL miner? As I can remember, you need version 500 for the improvement. Yes, 510.0 something. Rockport Tigger says, at son of a tech, Red Panda Mining just posted feedback on the new LOL miner on Hive OS. Haven't seen his results. Hodl. All right, I'll hold on. IME says, at son of a tech, Helium app and Explorer hasn't been working for the last couple days, including today for lots of people. Is it the same for you? I haven't actually opened it up because I've been so disappointed that it's just kind of annoying to open it up and see earning like 7 cents a day on this little miner. IME also says, at son of a tech, silly Helium, always down a couple of times a month, and crappy rewards. Why did I spend my money on a miner and an 8 dBi antenna? Anyways, yeah, I spent way too much money on an antenna too. Not really for much improvement. MMO Star says, at some ticket, what price are you expecting to sell your CAS? I have no idea. You could go into their Discord and see like what people are buying per, right now they're buying per million. I want to say it's like around 150 per million. So I don't expect it to list for crazy high, maybe a little bit higher than that, but somewhere around 150 US dollars per million, somewhere around there. C-Script says, at Simon Tech, what games are you playing currently? I'm playing Elden Ring. We're playing it on twitch.tv/blindrun. You can watch there if you like. And we won't be streaming tonight, but we will be streaming this weekend, I believe on Friday night and Saturday night, provided, you know, the farm's running well and I'm not having to run down there to fix a whole bunch of stuff. There's a link for Twitch if you guys want to follow me over there. It's much appreciated. 90 Simon W says, at Simon Tech, how far along with making your coin are you, and what layer 1 does it utilize? You would love to make your own layer 1. Not easy, I know. So it is a layer 1. It's not a layer 2. I'm not making a token. I'm making a coin. Right now, we are modifying all of the C++ to essentially make sure that all the commands, and let me make sure that that gets muted, but to make sure that all the commands are going to be basically like Soakcoin, right? So, but it's essentially a fork of, not a fork, but well, basically a fork. It's a Komodo smart chain, right? And then it's a Komodo smart chain with Varus hash as the algorithm. So it's not a token, but it's not a from the ground up layer 1 coin. Does that make sense? So it's not like programming the whole coin yourself, because I don't have the knowledge to do that. It's more of just modifying a Komodo smart chain. That's what it is. We have the GitHub spun up. We have basically 2 separate forks that we are working on. And like I said, right now is modifying the C++ to essentially make sure that the commands are clear and easy for the end user once we launch, because then we'll launch the testnet, probably reach out to you guys to go through the process of like building nodes and testing mining and so on. And then once we have that done, we'll move over to mainnet, try to launch that, and then have a mining pool ready to go. I believe we already have someone working on that too. If you are interested in participating in it, I think I will be spinning up in Rocket Chat a development room and just inviting the people that want to help with the development to that. And then we'll go from there. Andre Morris says, ask Tech, what is the best software of miner until T-Rex and LOL miner for GPU NVIDIA non-light hash rate? It's up to you. I utilize LOL miner pretty much across the board, but T-Rex is pretty good. I've heard, though, recently that Gminer has taken the lead on power to hash rate ratio, so you may want to check out Gminer. Jorge O says, ask Tech, do you plan to get a remote switch PDU so that you can reset rigs from your house instead of going to the farm? I don't really have to ever reset the rigs hard reset necessarily. The pricing of those PDUs is very high as well, so I don't know that it's really worth it with the farm being close enough. Most of the power issues that I'm having is just balancing out what I currently have across the farm. And part of that is that I went ahead and started utilizing my last 50 amp circuit for some of the GPU rigs as I'm expanding into more GPUs right now as opposed to the ASICs. Primarily due to the fact that I think that the 1660 Supers are highly undervalued right now, and I can pick them up easy. Diego Bosca says, at Son of a Tech, I am traveling to the United States. I wanted to know what is the best for me to buy, two 3060 Ti's or a single 3070 Ti. The 3060 Ti's for sure. The 3070 Ti is, in my opinion, by far the worst mining GPU currently available. 90 Simon W says, nice, thanks, Ask Tech. Anytime, my man. Yeah. All right. Looks like we're slowing down on questions. CPU man says, Ask Tech, Caspa node set up for CPU mining instead of Raptorium. I then saw a 3060 Ti's kill it, so you have two 3060 Ti's in two different machines. One gets 1 block a day, the other gets 11 blocks a day. Interesting. That seems pretty crazy. Maybe you need to take a look at what's going on with it. Rad CPU said continued. I'm not sure why there's such a difference in luck between the two cards. I would say that you probably have something wrong with the actual node on that system if you're running separate nodes. Panzer, thanks for the €5. Says maybe we can use higher settings now in LOL miner. Money. There you go. Dark Alley 22 says, at Son of a Tech, do you plan on getting a 3090 Ti? If so, which model? I don't know that I'm going to at this point. We'll see. Like I said, my problem right now is, like, if I want to expand the farm, I kind of just want 1660 Supers. Nicholas Pitt says, ask Son of a Tech, will you check out Yen 10 YTN? I don't know that I will. Is it mineable? If not, then no. Zach Berman says, what is your opinion on the RX 6600? The 6600 is currently, I think, like the most efficient GPU. I think they're great for mining, but great for mining, of course, Ethereum. That compounded by the fact that it gets the same hash rate as the 1660 Super for $100 more on average, and the fact that it doesn't have the ability to move to other algorithms as easily like the 1660 Super does, and I lean towards the 1660 Super being better than the RX 6600. Aras M says, opinions on the L3 Plus being $500. ROI seems fast, thinking of buying. I would purchase an L3 Plus at $500. Send me the link, bro. Paul Travisano says, ask Son of a Tech, LOL miner increased my 3060 Ti Lite hash rates by 1 mega hash. See, by 1 mega hash, the problem there is that's within, in my opinion, that's within margin of error. Jamie Smith says, at Son of a Tech, do you know if the DAG file on ETC went over 3 gigabytes? You had a 1063 gigabyte on ETC and it stopped hashing. Correct. The 1063 gigs do not work. You have to have a 4 gigabyte GPU. If you have 1063 gigabytes and you're looking for other stuff to mine, of course, there's still Ravencoin. I have mine on Caspa personally, and then you have Flux as well. Dan Sand says, at Sonvatech, you're not worried for the 6 gigabyte limit on the 1660 Super for the future of mining. No, I'm not really that worried about it. You have plenty of time, and you have plenty of algorithms that also, and new coins coming along the way all the time. It's like my 1063 gigs are still going. We're good. Rad CPU Man says, at Sonvatech, I'm running a single node on the same network. Okay. Well, that's interesting. I don't know then exactly what's going on. Maybe check connections for that particular rig. See what's going on with the network. Maybe it's not submitting shares easy enough. Welco says, at Sonvatech, I got a 1080 Ti this morning for $150. Runs great, but consumes 200 watts at the wall. Should I just sell it or run it into the ground? I mean, if you got a 1080 Ti for $150, just mine on it. You're good, dude. I don't know what your power cost is, but 200 plus watts is kind of expected. Lobanova says, at Sonvatech, I'm in a pickle. I had a friend split a few cards 1 year ago. I now want to end it. Should I buy him out or have him buy 3 GPUs back? That's going to be up to you and between you and your friend. I think open communication with your friend is going to be what you need to do. Eddie Lynch says, at Sonvatech, looking at 1660 Supers as well. You prefer the PNY model. So a majority of mine are the MSI models. The important factor that you want to look at is if it has passively or actively cooled memory modules. In my humble opinion, you want to go with the passively cooled memory module so you have less maintenance in the future. And that's how I run it, right? So Nicholas Pitt says, at Sonvatech, Yen10 is the only coin I have seen with its own standalone miner. Well, I mean, that's not true because even Caspa had its own standalone miner for a while. I mean, most projects will build their own standalone miner off of launch if they're truly built from the ground up with a new algorithm. Happy Dictator says, at Sonvatech, you're right about the 1660 Super, but also the 2070 Supers for $500 are amazing. 45 megahash a second, 90 watts, 60 solutions at 150 watts. Really happy with the market lately. Yep, it's looking pretty good. IME says, at Sonvatech, Ergo's white paper states that miners could confiscate wallet assets that are idle for 3 years. Is this normal for most cryptos? No, it's not. This is something that they have talked about for a while. If you have basically an idle wallet, then it brings that back into the emissions, or from my understanding, I haven't done enough research on it. I'll tell you, it's not normal, but I kind of understand what they're trying to do. Rad CPU Man says, at Sonvatech, I've posted messages on the Caspa Discord and not really getting any kind of answer. There has to be something wrong. I get answers last time I was in there. I haven't been in there no, I was in there yesterday and was chatting. Andre Morris says, at Sonvatech, do you think the NVIDIA 2060 Super is good for GPU mining Flux? Because I saw the 2080 Super as one of the best to mine Flux. I like the 2080 Ti, but the 2080 Super is just as good too for Flux. The 2060 Supers are pretty good as well, but once you get below the 2070 Super, I don't think so as much. I would take a 2070 Super, like Happy Dictator mentioned, for Flux over that. The 2080 Super and the 2080 Ti's are pretty much, I think, the best bets for those. Jerry Fulsen says, at Sonvatech, how often do you adjust your rigs? Core clocks, dips, and spikes affect hashing efficiency. If I get it locked in, it's locked in. I don't adjust it. The only problem I would have is, like, for example, I had a rig mining Ravencoin, and it essentially degraded the core to where my voltage settings could no longer provide enough power to the core. This is something that's happened in overclocking a lot of times. It is because Ravencoin does utilize the core. And at that point, I had to take up like my 5700 XTs that were on it from 740 millivolts to 780 millivolts. And of course, because I didn't want to experience any more degradation, I decided to cease mining Ravencoin at this time. And we'll probably not mine it unless, of course, there's an algorithm change that makes it easier on the core clocks. One of the things that, like, I think a lot of people overlook, especially within mining, when it comes to these new algorithms like Ravencoin or Flux that are not just memory intensive but utilize the core, is it does actually cause some more heat issues or potential damage to the cards because of heat issues and so on. The reasoning being is like the memory modules are a lot more robust. They're going to be able to handle high temperature and coming down off of high temperature better. The core does not. So really, like if you're hitting the core all the time, you do have basically a shorter shelf life than you do if you're on a memory hardened algorithm, for example, like Ethereum. Metopolis says, at Simatech, the RTX 2060 12 gigabyte does 40 mega hash a second on Conflux. Is this the cheapest GPU for Conflux? I don't know if it's the cheapest. It's hard to definitely keep track of all of the GPU pricing. Nicholas Pitt says, at Simatech, YTN is mineable with standard CPU mining software as well. Site looks nice. Cool. Mike Murowski, sorry, I can't pronounce your name, dude. Mike says, at Simatech, have you heard of Starcoin? There's a gold shell ASIC miner for it. They also have DEX Swap. Everything is in Chinese, so it's hard to find info. No, I haven't heard of it, but I can try to look at it at some point. You guys are giving me a lot to do, though, so bear with me. Welka says, at Son of a Tech, do you need to port forward to mine to your Caspa node if you're on the same network? If you're on the same network, no. Unless you have an on-machine firewall blocking it, like basically if you're in Ubuntu, you can run the firewalled commands and go ahead and see if you have, something blocked there. Now, if you did a Windows node, right, on the Caspa node, you could have Windows firewall as well blocking that port on the machine itself. So not within your network, but on the machine itself. The only time you would need to open up the port outside of your network is if you are trying to mine from another rig that is not on the local network. Rad CPU Man says, at Simatech, I get responses but not a solution. Should have been what I said. I'm not sure how to see the card is interacting with the node. You should be able to see it when it's mining. If you're not getting information, just getting errors within the miner, then you need to wait for the node to sync. I am me says, at Simatech, how much per kilowatt in Texas power? Here in MTL Canada, it's around 8 cents US a kilowatt hour for home users. It really depends wildly in Texas on where you're located, right? But average is going to be around 7 cents a kilowatt hour. So there you go. Mark Anthony says 1660 Ti or 1660 Super. And why 1660 Super? Because you can underclock the memory. And it'll run longer and get the same hash rate as a 1660 Ti. The 1660 Ti's are good too. You just have to overclock the memory instead of underclock it. Which of course means that you potentially have a shorter lifespan on it. About 5 more minutes here, and then I'm going to call it a day for the stream. I want to thank everybody for participating once again, sharing out the channel, doing all of that sort of thing, hitting the like buttons. We're at 300 concurrent views and 149 likes. So if you guys don't mind, if you enjoy this type of content, make sure you hit the like button so we let YouTube know that, well, you like the content. There you go. Colton says, at Simatech, 2080 Ti EVGA hybrids are great for keeping core temps low on Raven and Flux. You also just got a 2080 Ti Kingpin to try on Flux. Did you overpay? A little, he says, but is it a really cool card? Yes. Yeah, I mean, the Kingpin cards are awesome. Definitely avoid Kingpin cards on the 3090 Ti, though, because that's up to 1200 watts of power consumption. Eek. But really cool, right? Really, really cool. Happy Dictator says, at Simatech, tips and step to be a cloud solution specialist. You're in school right now. My path to being a cloud solution specialist was Not normal, right? So I took an internship, actually 2 separate internships to get in. I never went to school for it. And I think that on-job experience for trade jobs is better than school, personally. But not financial advice, that sort of thing. I Am Me says, at Son of a Tech, solar panels to help long-term costs and thoughts. So we've talked about solar panels a lot. Obviously, the return on investment for solar panels is pretty rough. So I'm not a big believer in solar panels. You also have to take into account, the fact not only that it's going to cost you too much to really maintain it most of the time, but it's in the U.S. the incentives have dropped off for solar panels as well. So you're not able to really get a lot of the government or the federal incentives, making it even less appealing, in my humble opinion. I think the point of crypto mining at this point is going to be utilizing, overproduction of energy from energy companies, and that's really what you should be aiming to do. I would much rather be on like flare gas, where I'm utilizing 20% of the wasted, natural gas production, because I think that that's better than mining a whole bunch and getting all the resources for solar panels and deploying them. Welco says, at Son of a Tech, I'm paying 11.3 cents per kilowatt hour in Texas. What company did you find that gives you 10 cents kilowatt hour in the Austin area? Well, Austin area. I'm not in Austin area. And I said average for Texas. And I wouldn't mind in the Austin area. I mean, you wouldn't want to, you really wouldn't want to be in, a metropolitan area in Texas for mining, right? So Dallas, Houston, Austin, San Antonio, those are the ones that you want to avoid. You want to get outside of those metropolitan areas. Rad CPU Man says, at Son of a Tech, I picked up a 1660 Super from Amazon for $349. No micro center here, even close, so I think that's reasonable. Yeah, some of them you can start finding for $320, but they sell quite a bit. $350 is pretty common. I'm hoping they come down to like $300. That'd be awesome. Rockport says, at Son of a Tech, or hashtag Son of a Tech, I guess, but I mine TON on CPU and old cards 2 megabytes or larger. Works great. Holding before it turns to proof of stake. There you go. Sovereign Individual says, at Son of a Tech, you should try to get on BitBoy's channel or for Around the Blockchain. I think it would be good for your channel. I've been on there twice or 2 or 3 times. But I don't think I'll be going back on anymore. Christopher Robinson. There you go. Nice name. Says, I'm on Fort Worth area in Texas, and I pay about 5 cents a kilowatt hour. Also, don't forget delivery fees too, guys. All right. It's 11 a.m. It is time for me to start getting ready for jiu-jitsu. I'm going to remind you guys once again, hit the like. We're 18 likes away from 200 likes. That would be amazing. Hit the comment later. Come back to the video and comment on it. That would be awesome. If you ever miss a show and you're on your drive back home, you can check out the show on Spotify. It's called Crypto Mining with Son of a Tech, and it is this show ported over to Spotify for the friendly commute drive home. It's your real name. Awesome real name, Christopher. And I will see you guys next Tuesday.